Yo, what's up everybody? It's Drewberry and I'm doing a bit of a different video today because we hit Infinite for the first time ever. I've been playing Marvel Snap since June. That's right, I got into the closed beta and I got to play with all these cards super early, and I had a great opportunity to hit Infinite a couple times, but I never got there. In fact, the highest rank I had gotten previous to this season was 89. So we kind of crushed it this season. And I'm going to break down the timeline of how we got there, some of the decks we used, and a bit of tips and strategies when you're getting higher in the ranks, because it actually changes not only the decks that you face, but the way people play changes as you get higher in ranks, which I thought was pretty fascinating. But I need to get this out of the way first. The biggest reason that I made Infinite this season is because they changed the rank system. You see, previously, if you hit rank 50, you would get 10 bonus cubes. That would put you at 51. Now they changed it so that you get 50 bonus cubes. So if you hit rank 50, you're going to go right up to rank 55 without playing a single game. It really propels you up the ranks. And what it really does is it saves you time. You see, I've been saying it for a long time, and for myself and a lot of other people, one of the main reasons we're not able to hit Infinite is because the amount of time that we don't have to put into the grind. It takes a lot of games. I don't care who you are, what content creator, it doesn't matter. You're going to have to play a high volume of games to get to Infinite, okay? And I think it creates almost this rank depression where people see a lot of people getting to Infinite and then they can't get there themselves, but it's probably just because you're not putting in the same volume of games. And not only games, time equals the amount of games that you play, yes, but it also is reference to the amount of time that you spend studying the play patterns of these decks, the meta, these sorts of things that can allow you to win more cubes and retreat when you know it's going to be bad, rather than staying in, losing cubes, and being in this MMR hell. So time is just such a huge factor. And these changes to the rank system really helped me jump right up. You know, it almost halved it basically. Normally I'm struggling to try and get high in the ranks at the end of a month. We got there in the middle of the month, like 2 weeks basically. So it was pretty awesome. I don't know how they're going to change it moving forward, if they're going to keep that system. They have talked about some rank changes that are going to be coming up, which I'm really excited to see because there's some interesting things I learned about getting to Infinite. Okay, so we're going to talk about those. But let's start at rank 48, the beginning of this timeline. So you probably noticed rank 48. Why is he putting that? Well, basically what happened is last season I ended at 80 and then I got dropped down to 50. You lose 30 ranks every season, right? But then Nimrod was out at the beginning of the season and we did a live stream, we did a theory craft, and we tried him out and we lost 2 ranks. So I'm on the back foot already and I'm at rank 48. But I thought, this is my season. These rank changes are going to help me out a bunch and I think I can do it. I want that golden X card back. So the grind began. But this is how it started. This deck right here, the top one, I didn't anticipate playing this. It wasn't my secret sauce that I had like ready to go to get to Infinite. No, but as you can see, it helped a lot. We went from rank 48 to rank 77 with that Silver Surfer Patriot list. And it started because the hot location was Nidavellir, which gives +5 power to your cards at that location. So this deck just happened to work really well. And I thought, okay, I'll showcase this. And with Iron Man buffing that location, Brood as being an easy option to get a lot of power there and not in Shang-Chi range, it was just easy wins. So it was great. And I did, honestly, I kind of expected to win during that hot location time. But what I didn't expect is to keep playing this deck. So I just kept playing it and I just kept winning a lot of cubes. People would actually stay in the games. I don't know if they weren't aware of the combos because this was a popular deck in December and then, you know, Silver Surfer got nerfed, I believe in January. So like it kind of fell off. Maybe people forgot about it. I don't know. But, you know, it was performing really well and it actually has a few counters to the big 2 decks. And let's talk about those, right? So there's the Shuri Red Skull, which you're seeing all the time. And then there's also the Thanos Lockjaw. And I want to say one thing really quick. I didn't play a single game with either of those decks in this run to Infinite, okay? Now, I played some pretty, expensive, some pretty nasty decks that use a lot of those problem cards. Okay, so I am not guilt-free, but I didn't use those two main lists. It's very possible to get infinite without those. Okay, so we use this top Silver Surfer list, and if you're running into those decks, use Juggernaut, right, or Shang-Chi to move or destroy that big red skull or Taskmaster, right, on that turn 6, which they're probably trying to set up. And at that point, if they think that's their play, that big 60 power Taskmaster, whatever they're excited about, boom. You move it, they lock in 8 cubes, you win the game. They didn't see that coming. It's fantastic, okay? So that's actually a really, really great buff. Also, the Iron Man combo with Mystique is so potent. It's so good. And if they set up the Red Skull and then you Mystique the Iron Man from over to the Red Skull location and he's giving +2 power to all your things, boom, you're going to have more power than that Red Skull could ever dream of. So it's a really strong combination. Against Thanos, it's a little bit lackluster. You have the Shang-Chi to destroy anything that pops out of the Lockjaw location, but otherwise, we're not running Killmonger. It could be a swap, but I don't have Killmonger in here, and it doesn't quite have the oomph that like Thanos can do. Like Thanos is just ridiculous, cheating things out, and Thanos runs Leech. You get leeched here. If you weren't able to play Patriot earlier, you're screwed. Like you're done for. There's nothing you can do in this list. But if you were able to get Patriot out, you actually might run a chance of winning. So I'd stay in it and see how it goes afterwards because everything's cheap and then you can play them and they get the buffs from Patriot. Okay. So anyways, that's what we use to get to rank 77, just flying up the ranks. But we did hit a wall. Rank 75 to 95 was really interesting. What I noticed about this rank is that people are playing sweaty now. They're trying to get that gold card back. Everybody is tryharding in these ranks. Not that they weren't before, but maybe there was less pressure or there's a wider audience of players that you can interact with in different decks, right? Whereas these guys in 75 to 95, holy smokes, it is tough times. This was the hardest part of my grind by far. You can see March 1st to 9th, we went up like 20 plus ranks, 30 plus ranks basically. And then March 10th to 17th, the next week, I was stuck in 75 to 95. So it was definitely the more challenging time of this climb. But the deck I used is the strongest deck, I think, just in general. I don't know. I think this is an absolute sleeper deck. Yes, it has a lot of expensive cards. I'm calling it Wallet Warrior. That's a tribute to old Hearthstone, right? There used to be a deck with Warrior where it had a lot of legendary cards and people with fat wallets could enjoy it. If you didn't have the money to pay for it, then you wouldn't be able to play the deck. That's kind of what this is. I'm sorry. It's just how it is. Funny enough, Galactus, Thanos, and Null were some of, I think, my first 3 token purchases each. So I've had them for a while and it just so happened they worked together in this list. It's really sneaky because you play a lot of stones and people think you're a Thanos list. So they're looking out for the Lockjaw or whatever, but they don't expect an open location to all of a sudden be Galactus and then everything's destroyed. And then even better yet, and I can't emphasize this enough, is make sure your opponent has priority. If your opponent has priority, you're absolutely golden because you got Death, you got Null, or whatever else. You play those big power cards and you can't get Shang-Chi'd, which everybody is running. Notice something about the 3 decks that I have here that got me to infinite? They're all running Shang-Chi. So if you don't have prio, if your opponent has prio, you're in a good spot. And that doesn't mean like throwing Ghost because that doesn't work in a Galactus deck. And basically your ramp here is Time Stone, is actually a fantastic ramp, and then you got the Wave and the Psylocke. You want to hold on to one of those, hope you draw Galactus, and then one of your finishers in Death, Thanos, or Null, and you're fantastic. You're good to go. The best part about this deck is that you can recognize when you're going to lose. If you didn't draw those combos, if it's not looking so hot, then you get out of there. But your Null actually can still get to crazy power totals from Killmonger destroying the stones, and amongst everything else that he's probably going to destroy. So there's a few means. I won games without Galactus. You don't need to draw that and play it. It helps. It works with the deck, but that's not necessary, okay? But there's low cube gain, okay? If you play Galactus, probably on 5 or 4, that's when you want to play it, your opponent's going to retreat. And if you're lucky, you got 2 cubes. Snap, okay, here's a big tip. Snap before you play Galactus, okay? Snap on the turn that you play your ramp. You play Wave, snap before you do, because you know you're going to Wave and then Galactus. Your opponent will probably stay in for that. They're not going to be too worried. If you Wave and then snap on the Galactus turn, they might dip because they don't have a good play on that wave turn. So it's not so great. Try to do it preemptively. Identify which location you want to play Galactus at. That's super important. Early on, you got to know where to play those stones, because that's the best idea. You want to play as many stones as possible to draw. You got to get to Galactus. So you got to draw through that deck like crazy, and you got to play them somewhere, but you got to leave one open for Galactus. So it becomes a bit difficult, but you have Killmonger there as a backup option if you end up flooding it a little bit too much. And the deck just works really smoothly together. It has a lot of power potential, and it was working. And I got from 75 to 95. It took a long time, but we got there. Slowly but surely. And during this period of time, this was the only period of time in this Road to Infinite where I was experimenting with other decks that I saw online or whatever mentioned that were strong. But they were just kind of, doing a 50-50 up and down for me. They didn't really make the push that I needed. Whereas this deck, when I would go to it, I kind of got tired of playing it, honestly, because it was Thanos and I just felt bad. So I'd shelf it every now and then. But when I'd take it out, I'd win. So I was like, oh, geez, I just got to get there. So let's just do it. And we did. And within a week, we're at rank 95. And at this point, at rank 95 to 105, I had the easiest time. I know, that's so weird. That is such a weird thing to say. I'm sure a lot of people are struggling, but I did this in a day. We got to 95 the night of March 17th. I woke up in the morning, decided to play a little bit of Snap before I streamed. Easily got to rank 99, didn't even lose a single game. And then rank 99 to 100 we did on stream. And, it was pretty funny. We went back and forth on a few games. I also just absolutely misplayed so hard my way to Infinite. It was like I was invited to the club of Infinite. Everybody's welcoming me, waiting for me to jump in. And then I just absolutely face planted right after. So it was pretty funny. But I'll show the clip at the end of this video, okay? But this deck list is strong, and I saw it a lot, on my climb, especially in the higher ranks. It's a typical Darkhawk control list with Sera, and you try to discount things, put a lot of rocks in your opponent's deck. But the reason my climb was easy from 95 to 105 was because I probably faced like 80% of the time Thanos Lockjaw. And this deck is the absolute counter to that. If you can get Korg out or Rock Slide, and that's the reason I'm running Korg, just to throw a rock in that Lockjaw cycle, and they get rocks coming out of their cycle, or they get their own stones, which they don't really want, it actually becomes really easy wins. And if they do get that card they want, then I have Shang-Chi, and I can discount them double with Sabu and Sera. So then it's just like a hard counter to the Thanos list. I was winning that one pretty handedly. Where this list struggles a bit is against the Red Skull Shuris, but for some reason I wasn't seeing those as much near the end of my grind. But maybe I was just being lucky. Aero is kind of your solution to that, though. Aero is just absolute queen in this deck. You try to get a lot of power, a lot of tempo with your Sentinel, your Lizard, your Polaris, Darkhawk, all that good stuff early on, and then you Aero at the end, and they're screwed. Really, really strong deck list. But the other reason I think I had a bit of an easier climb is that I found I was playing a lot of Infinite players. They had the gold card back and everything, and they were kind of memeing. They were playing like fun stuff because they're Infinite. They don't care, right? And then I'm the one like at the gate trying to get in, like, in my sweatiest moments, and I'm going for those cubes, and I got people are just like chilling. They don't even care. They're just like half playing. Like it was just kind of a weird experience to like finally get to Infinite in that way. Now, one thing that's really nice that I'm just going to get out of the way here now is they are changing that. You're only going to be able to play against Infinite players if you are Infinite yourself. That's eventually going to be a change, I believe, in the April patch. So that's going to be a really welcomed one, because then, the grind and the push to get there is you have to step over the dead corpses of your friends, steal cubes from them, slap them in the face to get over to the top to 105. So, and I think that's actually kind of how it should be. I mean, it sounds savage when I put it that way, but I mean, like, you got to beat the people who want to get there to get there. So that, all in all, was pretty well my climb. Those were the 3 decks I used. I'll have them in the description below from snap.fam, because then I can kind of illustrate some swaps if possible, right? So you can check that all out there. A lot of these decks, unfortunately, when you do swap cards, a lot of people always ask, what can I substitute this because I'm missing this? The problem with that is it's a 12 card deck, and if you take out one of the cards and you put something else, it might perform okay, but it might be substantially weaker. So if you're missing some of the key cards, it's hard to actually make a substitution. For instance, I never got to play this darkhawk deck until March 17th or something, because I actually got him in the token shop. I went ahead and got him with 3K tokens because I was like, let's try this out. Let's see if this is what can do it to get me to infinite, and it did. So just be wary of that if you're looking to make substitutions with these lists. So yeah, there we go. We got to infinite. I was pretty excited, but at the end of the day, you know, you get there and you're like, well, that was cool. But really, what did it do for me? It's not that big of a deal. Don't ever stress about it. It's just a card back as well. It's totally cosmetic that you only see a fraction of the time. You don't even get to see the cards when you're holding them in the hand. You can't look at the back of them. And then when you play them, they flip over. So it's a very small portion of the time do you actually get to see that card back. And otherwise, you don't really get any benefits. And you're just at infinite rank. And that's just what it is. But it's fun to try and get there. The grind is fun. And we're going to try and do it maybe every month. I don't know. Maybe we'll do some other things. We'll see. That's why you got to snap subscribe, because you never know. You never know when we're just going to misplay to infinite. It was so good. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, guys. And I'll catch you next time. Oh, man. Could flip the script here. How many cards you got? He got 8 cards in his deck. Like, this darkhawk is crazy big. Actually, in fact, how big? That's 16, is it not? That's 16. Unless he plays some stones. Let's just round down. Let's go with 12. 12 plus 9. We're beating him. We're tied at least, but he's going to play cards, right? So we beat him. Darkhawk actually wins that location. Polaris here. Oh, I got Kingpin plus Polaris is hilarious too. I don't see an arrow play that's worthy. He's going to put Vibranium in the deck. Yeah, we're fine there, right? The problem is the mid. How do I win the mid? Or do I go hard here? Or do we go here? Here. Here. We go here. And then we win the mid with Lizard alone. Come on, Infinite. Let's go. That's the play. Oh, I did put Darkhawk. What am I doing? What am I doing? How did Darkhawk? I thought I played Darkhawk. We did it anyways. Oh, my. Yes.